Them love rock, I'm up in chewing style and tactics. Them love a Juju Roy, a chewing fun and gimmicks. Them love a Mr. Mowley cause him Lord, I mean it, Junior
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so welcome back to another segment of our Activated Mornings program. And as mentioned earlier, we will be having an interview right now with members from, with the NIS, and this is in relation to Reform in Focus, a symposium that is happening. Well, they'll tell us when it's happening. All right. So in studio, we have Mr. Stuart Haynes, who is the director of NIS. Also, we have Ariel Pino, social protection and occupational safety and health specialist, and Alexandria Landry, senior social security actuary and modeling specialist. So, gentlemen, good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
And I suppose I should say welcome to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the best place in the world.
Absolutely.
No persons to contradict it? No?
Absolutely no.
Oh, very good. I'm happy to hear that. All right. So let us know what this Reform in Focus Symposium is all about.
All right. So thank you and good morning. It's a pleasure again to be here at WEFM speaking to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines about their business, social security. Well, we are conducting our 13th actuarial valuation. What that is that we are assessing the financial and actuarial health of our NIS. And to do that, we don't do that in-house. We hired independent actuaries. So for the 13th actuarial valuation, we have hired the ILO, the International Labour Organization, represented by Ariel and Alexandra. So the symposium, in conducting a reform, we usually engage the public. What is the public views about social security and different elements about the governance and the management and the financial state of affairs of NIS. And we want to hear what the public feels about NIS. So we are having this symposium. It will be a multi-stakeholder symposium. We'll get employers, we'll get employees, we'll get government officials, and so forth and so on, just to get the views of the people. So it will be on February 26th, Thursday, at the NIS conference room at 5:30. But persons will have to make reservation, their RSVP, in order to be accommodated, because we have a capacity of 100 persons, but we will be carrying it live through API. So we want to hear from the public with regards to social security, so that the views of the public can be reflected in some shape or fashion in our 13th actuarial valuation.
All right. So I think this might be the third or fourth time we use the word actuary and actuarial. What is that all about? To break it down for persons.
Right. So an actuary is a professional, right? First and foremost, professional, two strands. It's competent and ethical. And what does this professional do? This professional assesses the financial health of an organization, like Social Security. And the actuary now, in making the assessment, they use the data, the information they receive. They assess the data. They also look at the assumptions about for Social Security in terms of how long will someone live, the life expectancy. They also look at the fertility rate. They also look at the economic growth. They also look at inflation rate. So they look at the assumption. They also would use a model, because they're making an assessment over a 75-year period, right? So they'll have to use a model. The model that they will use, that we typically use, is developed by the ILO, right? Then they would look at what the cash flows of NIS like over a 75-year period. So the cash flows of NIS, they'll project what contribution income look like, what benefit look like, what investment income look like, and see in terms of where there are any sort of challenges NIS face, from a cash flow standpoint, then they will make recommendations in terms of what we should do, whether or not we increase contribution rate, whether or not we increase benefit and so forth and so on. So they are independent professionals and they are certified either through the UK by the fellow of the Institute of Actuaries or Canada, the fellow actuaries. I think Alexandra is qualified through the Canadian route, and my good self, for instance, is qualified through the UK route. So that's basically what we do. We play with numbers in terms of a strong statistical and mathematical background, and also a strong appreciation of economic and finance. So we assess risk basically, and basically devise strategies how you manage these risks more in the long run. So our profession, I say, typically forward-looking. Okay. So that's the role of the actuary. I think Alexandra would expound on that from a context of social security, because the actuary play in different spaces. Social security, playing private pension, general insurance, investment, and so on. But for this morning purpose, we focus on the social security actuary.
Okay. So maybe Alexandra or Ariel, either of you can let us know, why is social protection important for citizens?
Yeah.
We know we're not trying to get into the symposium itself, but it needs to give persons a reason to know why they need to be a part of the process.
Listen, for the International Labour Organization, for more than 100 years, we believe that social policy is one of the main public policies that can eradicate poverty and that can promote social cohesion, social justice, and promote sustainable, inclusive socio-economic development. Therefore, to the numbers that Stuart was talking, so we also want to give the human dimension to that. And therefore, this symposium is an excellent opportunity also to engage with people, to discuss with people, to get their feedback, because at the end, these figures need to be translated into concrete responses to the need of people. Not now, not tomorrow, but also for your grandchildren, because they also deserve to receive the welfare provision that is being provided by Social Security, by the NIS, in future generations. So to this financial dimension in terms of sustainability, we also have international labor instruments like the Convention 102, ratified by St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which give us the framework to propose reforms that tend to financial sustainability, political sustainability, and social sustainability. So it's a group of things that we want to discuss with the stakeholders. So when Alexander will put all that in the blender, right, to get the figures, we also include some policy ideas and concrete proposals from the different stakeholders, notably the government, the workers, and the employers.
Okay. So, Alexandra, why was it important? Well, let me pose it to Alexandra, not Stuart. Why was it important for you to partner with our NIS on this?
I think for sure inside the governance of the NIS, they need to conduct an actuarial valuation every 3 years at the maximum, so that there are a recommendation with regards to the financing, and they can take action. Stakeholders can then decide whether or not they go into one direction or another. In terms of financing policy, benefit policy, the investment side as well. So this is a process that needs to be done on a regular basis to ensure the transparency of the institution, but also it's a good opportunity for us to look at the scheme's internal governance. Do they collect data? They manage data correctly? Can they administer the schemes correctly? So we can pose recommendation, conclusion, finding in a lot of areas of the scheme itself.
Okay. And I suppose maybe in conducting such symposiums or even making recommendations, from your vantage point, you would have gone to other countries, right? And other models that are probably working in other countries, you'll be able to recommend to our NIS. Yeah, Stuart?
Yes. I mean, that's typical in terms of any actuarial engagement, stakeholders engagement. The symposium is just a vehicle we use to reach the general public. because for this week they're doing the in-country visit. So we'll meet with the senior management, meet with our board. This morning, 10 o'clock, we're meeting with the government. We are meeting with employers representative, employees representative, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Labor. We met with them yesterday. Also the Central Statistical Office, because these players basically provide information around policy. The Central Statistical Office provide demographic and economic data. We need to talk to them. The Ariel mentioned about the labor market policy. We need to have conversation. We are having conversation with the Minister of Labor. We had also with the Labor Commissioner and so forth. So it's a multi-stakeholder conversation to really firm in terms of the actuarial valuation. So it's not just numbers. And as Ariel said, it really takes the lives and livelihood issues into consideration in shaping how we go forward with regard to the system that has to be here for our parents, for us, for our children, and our grandchildren, right? So,
all right. So some persons might look at this as, this is like a real big people conversation, right? Like you look at it as being for persons who are older, right? But we recognize that the NIS, you have to look at the persons who have just started working at 18, right down to maybe those who are, what age would you go up to, right? Is 65 or 60?
Till that.
Till that?
Till
okay.
that.
From cribble to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So why is it important for you to get a wide cross-section of not just ages, but persons from different socioeconomic backgrounds, etc., to come on out to this symposium? Why should persons actually want to come on out? Of what benefit is it going to be to them? And are their voices or their contributions actually going to be taken into consideration? Because sometimes you could go to these events, but your voices or your opinions sometimes get, pushed aside. Are their thoughts and opinions actually going to be considered?
Absolutely. I mean, that is why we're having the conversation. And you're right. I mean, in terms of Social Security, we cover everyone from cradle to grave and even beyond. And it's important that we too have a collective view. We do listen in terms of to the public. I mean, whether the youths, we go out to schools, we go out to workers, we go out to self-employed person. The collective views are important because Social Security is all about a solidarity. It's society, it's the state, and it's everybody. I mean, we focus on a principle called universality, where we leave no one behind. So people's voice matters, but the voices now must be firm in accordance to one, for instance, the actuary has to take into consideration the international actuarial standards. We have to take the laws into consideration and so forth and so on. So persons' views, their voice, their opinion are welcome, and where possible and prudent and responsible, it will shape the direction in terms of NIS. Because, for instance, we have in this symposium that came out from comments from a radio program that I had here in terms of that the public was saying, we need to provide more avenue where we can share our views and give our feedback and so forth. And this symposium was born out of it, because before we generally go out to different stakeholders and have conversation, but we promised them before the 13th actuarial valuation that we'll have an avenue where we can hear from the public. And this is the avenue, and we want to hear from the people of St. Vincent.
So you actually did listen, and now you're putting it in.
We implement.
All right.
But this is also part of the, it's not just one-shot exercise, because the board, one of the principles of Social Security is that representation in the administration of the Social Security should be done also by the stakeholders, the government, the workers, and the employer. And this is the constitution of the board of the NIS. Therefore, representation and voices can come from different aspects. So here, for example, if you have people calling, you get it. From social media, you get it. From Symposium, you get it. But also from the board. And the decisions that the board made also represent the views of the key stakeholders of the Social Security. So the role of the board and the governance is very important. And I just wanted to come back to what you mentioned about the regional dimension. Two things I want to mention here. The first is at the ILO, we have a global outreach. And therefore, we do this kind of exercise and many other things around the world. But we have the principle of think globally, but act locally. We don't want to just import receipts from other countries and put it here. We saw that in the past and it doesn't work. So we learn from everyone and then we act locally in discussions with key stakeholders. And the second aspect on this regional integration, so we want to really push Social Security for regional integration as an engine of regional integration. It's not that regional integration provides some, secondary outputs in terms of Social Security. And in that sense, the heads of Social Security organization meeting, in which Stuart is one of the leaders of this group in the Caribbean that meet every year, it's an excellent networking and sharing knowledge opportunity for the Caribbean.
Okay. So I noticed two of the topics down for discussion is pension reform and unemployment insurance. I think the unemployment insurance is new to me. So.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So we promised the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 2024 that we would reform Social Security. And one of the elements of the reform focused on adequacy to broaden the benefit package that we offered. And we made a commitment to introduce the unemployment benefit program because Social Security as it stands is one of the best investment you could make for any worker because you have a 5-dimensional protection. We protect you whilst working. We replace your income for sickness. If you're injured, we are there for you. If you get invalid or so forth, you become invalid, we provide you an income. On debt, we provide survivor's pension, debt benefit. And when you reach that golden age, you receive an income for life. So there's one contingency that we want covering involuntary if you lose your income, and that is unemployment. We did a temporary unemployment program during the COVID-19, and that touched and transformed many lives. And we see the need to introduce it on a permanent basis because if, for instance, someone lost a job, there's no automatic replacement income. So we want to fortify the Social Security and move it from a 5-dimension to a 6-dimension, which will make it very much more appealing and a real safety net for the workers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the specialist on this is Ariel. So allow Ariel to make some comments on this regard.
Yes, in the Caribbean, it's when Convention 102 ratified by St. Vincent and the Grenadines provides provisions for 9 branches of Social Security, some of them just mentioned by Stuart. And what we see in the Caribbean is the unemployment insurance was the least developed branch. So only a few countries you could have in Bahamas and Barbados. But with the COVID-19, I think we took that opportunity and in dialogue with different stakeholders, we started to promote the implementation of the unemployment insurance. But the important thing here is to mention that it's not just compensations against unemployment. So what it's here is about linking unemployment protection with reinsertion in the labor market, because nobody wants to be unemployed forever. So we don't propose unemployment insurance mechanisms that only compensate against unemployment. The dimension of retaining, first of all, those we can in employment under crisis, under shocks, natural shocks, for example, and then immediately reintegrating the person through active labor market policies, apprenticeship systems, employment services, vacancies, matching offer at demand, private sector, etc. Ministry of Labor is very important. So it's a package of things. It's not just, okay, you've been unemployed, so you receive the money and that's it. If we do it like that, it will not work. So we need to work as part of the global, I could say, national social policy of job creation.
Okay. All right.
This unemployment service, insurance, sorry. You could go a little bit into details how this work.
Right.
Do you have to be employed before?
Yes, I want to make it clear. It's a replacement income because the last time I was on this program, following the program, I heard, people on the block getting money is that is lazy. Yeah. No, it's that if you work and you must make certain contribution to be entitled, and the benefit will be for a short period. It's like sickness benefit. Let us fashion it like that. So you're working, you have to get 26 weeks of contribution, for instance. So the unemployment will be the same. So you join the labor force, you work in, you make 26 weeks of contribution, for instance, right? And let us say now, for no fault of yours, you lose your job. then we would replace your income until you find a job. But the maximum period, for instance, could be for 6 months. So it's like another short-term benefit.
Right.
So it's not like, okay, we go on the block, we see some unemployed person, we pay benefit. No, it's not like that. It's Social Security is an income replacement program. So currently, if someone loses their job, right, there's no automatic income replacement, right? Let me say, oh, the severance policy may be in place and that. But Social Security want to be there for you when you lose your job and to be able to give you an income and help you in the process of searching to be reemployable. Because as Ariel mentioned, we have to integrate this with the active labor market policies, because it's not just an income replacement. It's an income replacement so that you can continue your consumption. You pay your bills, you eat, you do whatever you have to do. But at the same time, we work in terms of to be reemployed, right? And that would help in terms of driving productivity and hopefully reducing unemployment in the long run. So I wanted to be very, very clear on that.
And there are going to be certain measures in place to avoid abuse of the system.
Right. There are measures in place because we, for instance, spoke to Grenada, who introduced their unemployment program in 2024. Turks and Caicos also in 2024. The Bahamas introduced theirs after a natural disaster, and also Barbados. So we have country experience, and based on the report from Grenada and the other countries, it is not a program that have been abused, because you will design the program in such a way that it's a genuine income replacement, and it has to be involuntary. Not like you walk off the job and say, okay, I stop work.
You have to be actively searching for a job.
Searching for a job.
While you are receiving the benefits. So, for example, you probably, if we do nice active labor market policies, you may be mandated to take some training, probably reskilling, trying to find another area of job. Go every month or every 3 weeks to the labor department or to the employment services and see if there is any vacancy. So there are some control mechanisms that you can put, because we don't want us, as we said, we don't want us to promote a system which is basically replacing income and not promoting the reinsertion of the labor market. We know from practice that the longer a person remains unemployed, the more difficult is that to reinsert in the labor market.
Right.
And go ahead.
No, so that's all with the trust of, and Ariel mentioned, because, helping Social Security is job creation. So we see the unemployment program, right, linking to that whole government policy of job creation and so forth, and the rehabilitation and reskilling and retooling of workers. So those are the critical, policy items that we basically trying to enhance, and also helping with the employability of our citizens.
So you have 3 dimensions. One is the replacement of income, but before that, there is a dimension which is the retaining in the labor market. No longer than yesterday, where we're discussing with Labor Commissioner whether work sharing agreements can be found, for example, in case of shocks, where the employment relationship is preserved. And then the third dimension is the reinsertion in the labor market.
And just to be clear, it's actually going to be implemented this year, or it's under consideration?
ILO doing a feasibility study.
Okay.
So it's under consideration. And based on the feasibility assessment, then we'll make a determination. So the engagement of ILO is twofold. One, they are doing the actuarial assessment, the financial health of NIS, whether or not NIS can pay our bills now and in the future. And if we see the challenge, we'll make recommendation how we can survive today and tomorrow, that element. And with that now, they're looking at the unemployment benefit program, which is, if we look at it, something like a sickness benefit program, right, which will be priced and so forth and so on. They will assess the feasibility of that as well, then look at the integration, right? So Alexandra, I'm not sure if you want to speak in terms of to that joint mandate of the actuarial assessment and the unemployment assessment, because that will be the actual tasks.
Exactly. In fact, this is my key objective here to be here this week. So it's to collect all the data, the information, to discuss with the team, the NIS team, but also to meet with the stakeholders to know what they have in view for potential reform, but also for the design of the unemployment insurance scheme. Because depending on the design, either you fulfill the objective or not. And we are there also with Ariel to make sure that we can guide the stakeholders in their decision with best practice, country examples, not only for unemployment insurance schemes, but also for reform options. But we're always here to hear your views for sure, because this will tint also our recommendation for sure.
But two policy advice that we can give also based on the experience we have. First of all, don't rush the thing. So
Okay.
do the right assessment. It's financial is one, operational is another one, legal is another one. So you need to reform the act. You need to link with the labor market. So you need to integrate that in a weather policy, because we know in Social Security that you launch something that it doesn't work, it stays in your backpack forever, and it's difficult to catch up. And the second one is do it progressively. So probably you don't need to start with the whole population, with the whole sector. So probably you have some sectors that are better organized, and you can start geographically, and you are learning by doing the process. So these two things are critical. In Jamaica, we did that in 2022. We did the assessment, and it's probably next year coming up.
All right, we actually have a call.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. I would like to ask the gentleman there for the national insurance if there are any reciprocal programs for people in the Caribbean. Like I live in St. Vincent and I want to get my national insurance come to me from Barbados or vice versa. They have that program?
Yes, we have what we call the CARICOM Reciprocal Agreement program, where you move and you don't lose. But this program only covers the pension, the long-term benefit. Like, for instance, let us say you live in Barbados, you work for 10 years, right? You move to St. Vincent, you work for another 10 years. You turn the retirement age, the pensionable age in St. Vincent. When we compute in your pension, we will contact the office in Barbados, get their information. We will put our information together. Then the pension now will be based on a totalization. The amount you paid in Barbados and the amount you paid in St. Vincent, we share it in proportion to your working history across the countries, and you're protected. So that is a system that is working very, very well. I mean, across the CARICOM space.
So if say, for example, I'm a full pensioner, and I want to move to St. Vincent, I suppose I can have my pension transferred to St. Vincent.
Well, we would have an arrangement in terms of where, for instance, and we have this with other countries, where St. Vincent can, for efficiency, treat with that payment, and Barbados can reimburse us. That's an administrative work that has happened across the region before. Yeah. So that's possible.
Thanks so much for the information. Have a great day, guys.
All right, take care. Thanks. All right. So is there anything pertinent that we forgot? Because I know you want persons to come on down to the symposium, but to get them to come on down, is there anything that you wish to mention at this time?
I think it's important to mention that we adopt typically an all-inclusive approach, and voices matter, right? And we would like Vincentians to come out and engage us, hold us accountable, because at the end of the day, we are managing people's money, right? These are trust funds. The monies of NIS belongs to you. So come and hold us accountable. Come and give us guidance, your thoughts in terms of Social Security administration, the reform measures, and let us get your feedback. Then we will take your suggestion, your feedback into consideration to see how we can shape something that suits the Vincentian public. And I think that is why, the team here from the ILO, right? And Ariel mentioned about thinking globally and acting local. And this is where now even we, as stakeholders, we have to keep the actuary in terms of grounded to St. Vincent realities so that we don't receive any actuarial assessment that reflect a one-size-fits-all. So we have a responsibility to challenge assumption, challenge the numbers and so forth, right? Because we want something that designed for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that meet their socioeconomic needs. So, and we could only reach to that point if we had the views of the people. Take the ownership of NIS. NIS belongs to you. All we're doing at this point is just administering it on your behalf. We are fiduciaries, right?
So remind us where, when, what time. And there's also RSVP, but we need to know when to RSVP by.
Right. So we could RSVP right up to Wednesday midnight, right? Right. So there's a telephone number there. There's our Facebook page and so forth where you can RSVP. The conversation will be happening on Thursday, the 26th, at the NIS conference room at 5:30 p.m. Right? If not, join us live on API, and your questions, your comments will be facilitated. Also, in the whole consultation process, we'll be having a consultation in Beckway as well on a Wednesday at 6 p.m., where we go down there and we talk to the contributors, the employers and so forth, educating them about social security. So this is an ongoing thing for NIS in Vincent. The whole issue of social dialogue and engaging the public, that is a strategic priority for us.
Okay. And curious question. It will be streamed live, yes, but would somebody actually be monitoring the comment section to note the questions that are being asked?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll have somebody monitoring.
Okay.
So we want the views of those in person and also those online.
Oh, very good. All righty. So this was indeed a pleasure having the three of you in studio this morning. I learned a couple of things, so that's good. So we had in studio with us this morning, Mr. Stuart Haynes, Director of the NIS, Mr. Ariel Pino, Social Protection and Occupational Safety and Health Specialist, and Alexandra Landry, Senior Social Security Actuary and Modeling Specialist, both from the ILO. And we were talking about Reform in Focus Symposium that is happening this Thursday. All right, so gentlemen, thank you very much for being here with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.